Hello, and welcome to a tour of my wall of fame, or my stairway of fame, and a little family history. And I'm your narrator, Jack Fayville. Hi. And let's see, it's February 3rd, 2026, and I am 70 years old right now. And I just thought I'd try to point out all these different pictures and identify everybody if I can. So, okay, we're going to start right here. This is my mom, Jean Fayville, and I think this is one of her first teaching jobs, or she was a librarian after getting out of Carroll College, so this is probably in the maybe it's late 40s, early 50s, I'll bet. Up here is a family picture of the Vetting Farm, which is now Pinecrest Historical Village. Right here, this was my godmother, Laverne Vetting, born on the same day as my mom, which is October 26, 1926. She died in 1967 as a hit-and-run accident when she was a nurse in Chicago. And here's Uncle Pete. That's my mom's brother. He died in 1969. Peter Vetting. I don't think he was driving the car. I think it was just posed because he had epilepsy that started in his teenage years. Here's my dad, John Fayville. I'm not sure when this is from. Looks like late 40s to me. Maybe it's a college graduation picture. Grandma Esther Rosenblatt. I'm guessing she's in her 40s here. She was born in 1900. And here's her Delta Gamma fraternity membership, I think. Yeah. I'm not sure that makes sense. Grandpa Hugo Vetting, right here. This is probably a picture from the 1980s when he was in his 80s. He was born in 1897. Here he is in a couple of work pictures that I had. I think he's the fireman on this crew, or maybe it's two different crews, but it's the same engine. And I think that's in Manitowoc. Okay, there's Mom again, playing cello. That was one of her instruments, also piano, and that might have been in Carroll College, I'm going to guess. Okay, here's a picture of Grandma Vetting and Grandpa Vetting, and I think this was in the paper when they donated the land for the Pinecrest Village. And here's one of Grandpa Vetting at work. This is when he's engineering a switch engine, I think, in the yard, Calumet Yard in Manitowoc. And this is Papa and Nan Rosenblatt. That's Grandma Esther's parents. This is probably in the late 40s or, yeah, I don't think they lived too much longer into the 50s. There's Uncle Pete, is the little guy on the left, and Uncle Jim, a little bit older, on the right. Here's a picture of my mom on the left, and her sister Eunice on the right. Mom was born in 1926, Eunice was born in 1928, and she died in 1933, I believe, at age 5 during an adenoid operation on the kitchen table in their house. There's another picture. Here's my Grandma Vetting's parents. That's Martha and Peter Sorensen. And I'm not sure what year this picture is from. There's Uncle Pete on the left, my mom in the middle, and Uncle Jim on the right. And that could be late 40s, early 50s. Uncle Jim was probably driving that. Okay, here's the whole Sorensen family. This family picture, I believe, was taken in 1937 at Peter and Martha's 35th wedding anniversary, maybe. And here is Grandpa Vetting's parents. That's William Vetting and Ida Bramer. That's probably their wedding picture. Probably from the 1880s. This is my certificate of recognition for being on the honor flight with Dad in 2018. And there's a picture of Dad in the Army. Grandma Esther, probably in late 70s or early 80s, where she was maybe around 80. Here's Dad and Sharon in a later picture, probably between 2010 and 2015, I think. And I think this is their wedding picture, which I think was 1987. Here's a picture of our family when we went to Florida. I think this was 1970. That's Joel on the left, then Grandpa Jack, Grandma Esther, Favel, Dad in the back there, Claire in front, Mom, Jean Favel, and I'm on the right, Jack. And here's Mom. That might be a college picture, I'm not sure. Let's see now. This was Uncle Jim and Grandma Esther's younger sister, and I can't think of their names right now. Maybe I'll flash that on the screen. Here's another picture of Nan and Papa Rosenblatt. I think that was a wedding anniversary. Is that what that says there? Mom in Greenbush, dressed up. This is probably in the 60s. Okay, here's Grandpa Jack, John Favel Jr., probably in the 40s, I'll bet. And there is Grandpa Jack again with his mother, Louise Thayer Favel. And Wheezy has a little girl there on our right. She was also Louise Thayer Favel. And there's Aunt Wheezy's house in Lake Mills. And there's the twins, the two reverends, were one of those. The Reverend John was Grandpa Jack's father, and I think this was from it says something, 1876. Yeah. Here's Grandpa Jack's World War I picture. Here's a picture of Aunt Wheezy, and that one was blown up for her funeral service at the Congregational Church in Lake Mills when she died in, I think, 2016. This is Grandpa Jack's family when he was pretty young, I'm going to guess, probably in, maybe that was in Appleton, 1915 to 1918, somewhere in there. And his mother, Louise, on the left, and then his older sister, Aunt Mill, on the bottom, and the Reverend John on the right. Well, let's see if I can get this a little better here. Grandma in her wedding dress, Grandma Esther Rosenblatt in her wedding dress, Mary Ann, Grandpa Jack Favel in his World War I uniform. This is probably in Lake Mills too, but I don't really know. And here's the 7 Favel brothers. I think this picture was taken in the late 1840s or early 1850s, so that's the very oldest picture we have. Here's a picture of all of his cousins at, I think this was at Grandpa and Grandma's 50th wedding anniversary in Oak Park, and I think the year was 1973 or so, maybe. And here's another picture of them at that same 50th. This Grandpa has a little guy, so he was born in 1896, so this is probably somewhere in the very late 1890s. Here's a picture of one of the Favel gatherings, and I think this is at Terranina in Lake Mills, and I wouldn't be surprised if this picture is from the 1890s or somewhere in there. Could be even earlier. Great-Grandma Louise Thayer. It might be a debutante or coming out picture or something like that when she was still in Massachusetts. Here's my dad and Aunt Wheezy. as kids, probably in the 30s. Let's see here if I can get this better. Aunt Weezy on the right, and her first husband, Uncle Lee Armentrout, on the left. It's probably their wedding. So I suppose 52 maybe? I'm not sure. Here's Dad, John Favel, as a little guy, so that'd be probably in the late 20s. And there's Grandmaster and Dad, so that must be 1920, I'll say 1927. Here's all of us cousins again in front of the cheese factory in Greenbush. I'm guessing around 1964. This was our cabin up on State Line Lake. A-frame cabin. I think it was built in 1971. It's actually still there now in 2026, but last I looked at it, it had been greatly remodeled and expanded and raised up and had a basement under it and everything else. Here's some of us in the 80s. This is at Fayetteville Road outside of Lake Mills. That's Ronnie Wolf on the right, and my first wife Cindy next to her, and then everybody else. I may not be in this because I think I took it. Here's a kind of an appreciation for Grandpa Jack for his work at, I think, at Waupun, where he was Director of Education or something to that effect. Here's a picture of all of us when Dad married Sharon and they lived in Fort Wayne, and I think this was 90, 91 maybe. Maybe it was 89. Anyway, it's a long time ago. You can see who we all are there. Here we have Dad with his great-grandparents, the Dowers. And then here's, this is Dad's obituary here. And then here is Elijah and Eliza Fayetteville, who are my great-great-grandparents, who were the parents of the Reverend twins. And then there was one other boy, Rush. And this is another picture of them at older age. There's Dad and Mom. So this is probably short before Mom died in 1984. I think she has a wig on. I think she had some chemo treatments. And then there's this was actually a postcard I found somewhere. Grandma Esther on the right, and her mother Nan in the middle, and then little sister Ruth. Okay, let's see, over here we have, that's my life membership in the Manitowoc County Historical Society that Grandpa Benning gave to all of us when they donated the land. That's me in about 4th grade, I think. That's me at my high school graduation party in Plymouth. A couple of pictures with my beloved doggies there, Charlie and Holly, and some pictures I took in 1980 on the right in one of those booths when we still had a Woolco here in Wisconsin Rapids. And then this is my graduation, getting my diploma. Here's Connie's brother Nate, Connie's son Ryan, as a graduate of something. Not sure which graduation it was. This is Connie's aunt and uncle. They had been, I don't know if they ever made it to the longest married couple in Wisconsin at this point, or the second longest, but Elmer died about 4 or 5 months ago at this point, but Edna's still with us. Here's a picture Dad always liked, and I have it now. He had it forever. This is Lindsay, and I really don't know what the situation was here. Also Lindsay. And there's another one where she's a little older. And this is Ryan and Lindsay as little kids. And then here's one we took. I can't remember what the occasion was here, but it says 2018, and I know it was down at Jones's in their garage. Grandpa and Grandma Jones in their garage. So I think it was somebody's graduation or something in the summer, but I can't remember what. Here's Ryan playing piano. I think there's more to the story there too, but I'm not sure. This is me in Mexico in 2002 when Connie and I went there because she had earned a trip selling real estate for Coldwell Banker. There's a little thing Connie got as a little girl. Promoted. Well, it says it's in 1963. And here's Connie's graduation from college, I think, with her parents, Babe and Joanne. And Connie's mother. It's a younger picture, but I'm not sure what year. And here's Connie in high school when she had the starring role in The Diary of Anne Frank. And then here we are, another picture from the Rue Palace in Mexico in 2002. And up there is a family pic, Connie on the left, and then Cindy's the baby in the middle, and Nancy's the baby on the right with her parents. This is a picture of when I was working at the History Museum here. I think it's from about 2016, somewhere in there. There's a picture of Lindsay and Robin, her dad, hunting, I think. That's a picture up there of me and one of my bands in 1982. I think we were called Bourbon Street at the time, and then we changed to James Bond and the 007s, and we played 50s and 60s music, which was a big craze at the time, and we thought the ties were cool. Here's from the first FR Music Festival in 2016. A lot of those people aren't around anymore 10 years later. This is the drummer from the Paul Seabar Band. Reggie Bordeaux. Yeah, he was really good. Yeah, he said he played it with Prince at one time. That's another picture up there of the Atomics Band, I think, playing it at the FRM Festival at Robinson Park. Here's Ryan and Lindsay. Not sure what year that was. Let's see if I can get the reflection out of there. And here's a family trip they took out west, and I think this is around 2004. Maybe this one too. Here's a picture of I think this was maybe around 2000 when we were playing. I think we were called Acoustic Fringe with Connie singing. That's John Banta on the right, and I'm on the left. Connie's in the middle, and I think we're playing down at the Lunch by the River here in Wisconsin Rapids. Here's some pictures of Connie from here. One of those is that one up on the left is her high school graduation picture, and then picture as a maybe fourth grader, and then this was a real estate picture I took for her in 2010 when she briefly sold real estate here in Wisconsin Rapids. This is a picture of Dad and Aunt Weezy, and I think, well, I can't remember where this is, but I thought it had something to do with them being the oldest surviving people from Camp Manitowish up around Boulder Junction that they went to when they were kids in the 30s. This is Jack and Connie at our wedding, which was right here in our yard at our house here in Rapids, 2013. And here we are, Jack and Connie and Lindsay. We were practicing and we played for somebody's wedding. I think this was 2019 up in Iola, up in one of those back roads. Somebody, Connie and Lindsay knew. I guess I know them too, but they knew them better. Here's Connie and I at, this is at one of the balloon rallies over at the airport in Wisconsin Rapids. I don't know what year this might be, 2004, 2005, somewhere in there. Here's my, well, it was my official high school graduation. Well, yes, I guess it was my official high school graduation picture. And here's a picture of Connie, and I can't, maybe in high school? I'm not real sure. Okay, well then we're going to leave you with this right now.